The night before, during dinner, my girlfriend announced, "I'm starting OnlyFans. It's my body, my choice, and you will support me." I replied, "Of course." Then, during her first live stream, I sent screenshots of her profile to her ultra-conservative parents and to her employer, right when both of them began calling her. It all began on a normal Tuesday. I was making pasta. She was on her phone with that look she gets after too much influencer content. She put the phone down, looked at me dead serious, and said plainly, "I'm launching OnlyFans." I stood there with the colander in my hand, waiting for a joke. But there was none. Her tone had changed to the one I recognized when she had that new friend, Jessica, nearby. "It's my body, my choice, and you will support me," she said, as if issuing an order, not opening a conversation. It wasn't an invitation to discuss. It was an ultimatum. I knew arguing would be pointless. Arguing would make me the controlling boyfriend she had already begun to imagine me as. So I simply smiled, put the call down, and said, "Of course." The relief on her face was immediate. She had expected resistance, and when none came, she literally lit up. She launched into a rehearsed speech about financial independence and owning her narrative, the buzzword spiel Jessica had fed her. I nodded and asked supportive questions like, "What kind of content are you planning? Do you need equipment?" And she drank it in. She explained she'd do photo shoots and weekly live streams, that she'd bought a ring light and tons of new outfits, that it would be tasteful, but spicy. Outwardly, I looked like a supportive partner, but inside something clicked. This wasn't the woman I'd fallen in love with. It felt like she'd become a poorly acted role under the influence of a toxic friend, and our shared future as I'd pictured it was gone. My support took on a different meaning. I decided to show her the full consequences of her decisions. After dinner, while she excitedly texted Jessica, I went into the home office and began to make a plan. First, gather information. Her parents, David and Mary, were deeply religious conservatives who donated generously to their church and believed a woman's place was to support her husband and family. They tolerated me because I had a stable job and a clean record, and they viewed Ashley as their perfect, innocent daughter. I knew they probably didn't know what OnlyFans was, but the phrase, "selling photos of herself online," would explain everything. I had their joint email address from last year's vacation. Next, her employer, a family-oriented real estate agency, where the owner, Mr. Harrison, was a respected pillar of the community and also a churchgoer. His brand was built on trust and family values. I was almost certain the company had a social media policy. I remembered seeing her employee handbook on her desk, and while she was in the shower, I took a photo of the page with the relevant clause, a morality clause about employee conduct. I found Mr. Harrison's work email on the website. The last piece was our finances. We had a joint checking account, and she had an additional card on my account that I paid. I couldn't just cancel the card by phone, but I could lower the limit, so I set it to $50, enough for coffee, but not for large purchases. I also rerouted most of my next paycheck from the joint account into my personal savings, leaving only enough for the mortgage and utilities. I was building a financial firewall. If she wanted to be a solo entrepreneur, let her have solo finances. Over the week, the apartment turned into her studio. The ring light permanently set up in the spare bedroom, constant packages with revealing outfits, and she was giddy, treating it like a startup launch. She and Jessica had loud calls about branding, subscribers, simps, and big donors. Jessica even said that once Ashley was making 5 figures a month, she could dump the 9-to-5 boyfriend and find someone to match her new status. The first money fight happened on Friday. She came home furious because my card had declined at a boutique, and she was embarrassed. I checked. The bill was paid, but I had lowered the limit. She blew up. "What did you do without asking me?" I replied calmly that I didn't see sense in continuing to finance what she called her new business, and that it made sense she should invest in her venture herself. I used her own empowerment language back at her. That hit a nerve. She called me a jerk and slammed the bedroom door. Financial support had been her confidence anchor. The first crack was showing. A few days later, things escalated. I came home to a huge box, a professional camera costing more than $2,000. I checked the account, and the charge was there. She hadn't tried to hide it. In the spare bedroom, I told her it was our emergency fund, and that spending like that without talking to me was unacceptable. She snapped that it was a business expense, and that you have to spend money to make money. She accused me of financially strangling her and of being afraid she'd earn more than me. The accusation was absurd. I wanted respect and communication about shared money. She cut the conversation off and blamed Jessica for telling her I'd sabotage her. I took a screenshot of the transaction and put it in a consequences folder. Then a subtler campaign began. The next day, a mutual friend texted asking if everything was okay. Ashley had told people I was being difficult about her career. It was clear Ashley and Jessica were already spinning a narrative and painting me as the villain. Launch day was set for Saturday, an 8 p.m. live stream. She prepared all day and told me I should probably go out, that I'd be better off not being around. The first time she'd pushed me out of our own home. I said I was going to a friend's to watch the game and did go, but I stopped first. Using a throwaway email and a prepaid card, I subscribed to her page the moment it went live. I needed proof. The profile matched my fears. Teasers, subscription price, the bio, and one damning photo shot in our living room with our dog in the background. I took detailed screenshots. At 7:45 p.m., I had 2 emails ready, one to her parents and one to her boss. The subject line for both was something like, "Information about Ashley's new professional activity." The email to her parents was polite. I said that maybe we hadn't spoken in a while, but felt they had the right to know what their daughter was doing, and attached screenshots. The email to Mr. Harrison was more formal. I noted a potential conflict between her personal activity and the company's policy. Attached a screenshot of the morality clause from the handbook and the profile screenshots. At 8 p.m., when the stream started, I hit send on both emails, then drove to my friend's and put my phone on silent. The reaction was immediate. That night, the phone buzzed nonstop. Jessica, furious, texts, and group chat commotion. The next day, I learned the details from a mutual friend. About 15 minutes into the stream, Ashley's phone began ringing. First her mother, then her father, and her laptop rang too. She panicked and cut the stream abruptly, but it was too late. Mr. Harrison called, cold and measured, and said she was suspended pending investigation. By Monday, she was told not to come in. The fallout continued. She was later fired for what he considered a clear breach of policy. That night, the apartment was empty. She'd packed a bag and gone to Jessica's, leaving a note. "I hate you. You are a monster. You destroyed my life." The next morning, her father called. I expected anger, but heard a tired, broken voice. He asked if what he'd been told was true. I said yes, and explained I'd sent the materials because I thought they should know. He sighed and said they were flying in to handle it. Monday came and went, and word arrived that she'd been officially fired. Mr. Harrison deemed it sufficient cause to terminate her employment. That evening, Jessica came to my door furious, accusing me of jealousy, control, and sabotaging Ashley's dream. I let her rant. When she ran out of steam, I asked, "Are you offering her a permanent place to live? Are you going to pay her bills now?" Her righteous anger faded into a flash of panic. She wasn't going to bankroll Ashley. I noted that Jessica had filled Ashley's head with fantasies she wouldn't fund. and shut the door in her sputtering face. Next, they launched a GoFundMe. The story was a crafted fiction portraying me as an abusive ex who'd gotten her fired and left her homeless. They used a sad photo of Ashley, and donations started pouring in. I watched the total climb and felt a slow, burning anger. It wasn't just a breakup anymore, but fraud and defamation. The next day, an attorney for her father sent me a cease and desist, accusing me of harassment and causing Ashley emotional and financial distress, threatening legal action if I contacted her or her family. The letter was bluster and intimidation. I realized I needed to act precisely. I found the church where her parents and Mr. Harrison attended, a small community where reputation mattered. From an anonymous email, I sent a calm message to the prayer team, asking them to pray for 2 families in the congregation, David and Mary's and Mr. Harrison's, explaining that their daughter had lost her job and was soliciting public donations in a way that might mislead people and harm a local business's reputation. I attached screenshots of her profile, the fundraiser, and a link to the real estate agency's site. I framed it as a prayer request, not an attack. The effect was devastating. Within that community, the information spread and reinforced Mr. Harrison's decision, increasing pressure on Ashley's parents. Their perfect public image collapsed, and the humiliation was unbearable. Soon after, the GoFundMe was taken down. Her father called again, no longer angry but pleading, "Please make it stop." I said I wanted one thing, that they stop threatening me with lawyers, and that she stop lying about me publicly. He said she was now with them, without work or prospects, and that the situation had been resolved. "You won," he said. I told him I didn't see it as a victory. I'd simply stopped losing. A few days later, they came back to collect her things. It was painfully awkward. The father wouldn't meet my eyes. The mother cried quietly, and Ashley alternated between glaring with hatred and looking utterly broken. She didn't say a word, only said, "I hope you're happy." I calmly replied that I hadn't done it for her. She had made a choice and demanded my support, and those were the consequences of that choice. She climbed into the car with her parents and left. In the quiet, empty apartment, I deleted the consequences folder. There was no triumph, just a clean slate. I poured myself a whiskey and enjoyed the silence. She got her choice, and I got my life.